I do not have everything it takes to satisfy this human being. In fact, I cannot meet even a quarter of his needs. This world is diverse. His needs keep changing. They keep mutating. Will I keep changing and mutating with everything that he wants and desires just to be able to satisfy him? What kind of life is that? Now, because he likes them slim, I'm here trying to slim myself, yet I've been blessed with, a curvy body. Yeah. He likes them now. I've slimmed down. Now he's interested in the curves. So I start bringing the curves up again. Today he wants the short hair. Yeah. Tomorrow he then wants the short hair. So do I keep on changing with that?
That's a lot of work.
It's exactly. Yet they're there with short hair. Set him free. They're there with short hair. They're there with those... whatever he do, it's there. I don't have to be the one to serve it. Well, there's what he gets from me, which cannot be replicated out there. And that's why sometimes I think second and third marriages have a higher failure rate. Because you're still not dealt with the why in your first marriage. Yeah.
I thought people who give it a second and third chance are better at it.
No, I hear the statistics are it's higher. Oh. Yeah. You just want to be friends. You just want to have someone who knows you. You can call and say, hey, do you know what I did? And he laughs with you. He says, yeah, that's a blunder. You want to have someone you can have genuine conversation, who doesn't judge you, who doesn't look down on you, who doesn't hold a grudge on your chosen lifestyle. Yeah. And yeah, that's what you want.
Why did I get married? There is a movie that goes by this name, yeah? And you've got so many people who are asking themselves why they got married. And people do that for a couple of reasons. Sexual satisfaction, they think they'll have sex all day, every day. Financial gain, they want to have babies, they want companionship, they want to have someone who can be able to help them split bills. The list is endless. But what happens when you realize that you're not signed up for it? So well, you thought maybe you wanted children, and you get someone, the ideal partner, and you go through the whole process of premarital counseling, having the wedding, you have the babies, and then bam, you're not feeling this anymore. This is not what you signed up for. What do you do after that? With me, I have Mukami. She's going to tell us her story about unconscious coupling, how she got married and how she decided, or rather when she discovered that marriage was not her cup of tea. So she'll walk us through the journey, the marriage itself, the separation, and the co-parenting journey as it is, and the kind of relation that she and her ex-husband have to date. Mukami, thank you so much for being here.
Nice to meet you, Jackie, and thanks for having me. Marriage. I got married under the Christian Act, as guided by the Christian Act. Yeah. Did the full premarital counseling, getting your parents' approval. In fact, our parents signed forms that they've agreed we get married. It was a requirement. We did the customary process, and then we did the church process. And when we met, we were very clear with, I like calling him Baba Toto. I was very clear with Baba Toto how I envisioned my process into marriage. And it was to be a very simple civil ceremony, 30 people or less sereni. That was it. But I guess he was not strong enough to withstand the pressures from especially my mom, family. And anyway, I'm the firstborn, so it was okay to accord her that honor. And he said, let's just have this thing, let's respect our parents. And we went ahead, and I'm glad we did. I'm really glad we did, because his mom was over the roof. She was excited. And the mom told me, you mean you love my son to the point of you want to marry him? And I'm like, yes, he's a wonderful man. That reassurance from someone to a parent that you have a good child. And I told her the things I saw in him and what I liked. And the first thing I noticed was he was a good father. He had a child. He had then around 8 or 9 years old. And I saw how he related with that child. Personally, my idea of getting married was just to get the children. Because back then, getting a child out of wedlock was, and I really desired to get a child. So the way we did it then was you had to get married, you had to do the process. It was not as it is right now. And out of respect, I did that. And I was very clear. And that's why I went in getting pregnant immediately. Because that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we did it, got married, very excited, got pregnant. I got my baby. 6 months later, after my first child, I'm like, okay, I got what I wanted. I don't think I want to get married. I don't want to stay married. Because you see, I'd already achieved
The end game.
the end game.
Yeah.
And I told him, this thing, I don't think I'm cut out for it.
Yeah.
But he's a fighter. He's very, he's good at sticking it out. And we had all this, let's vumiliana, everything. But you know, conversations we would have here and there, we would agree it's possible to each live our lives, but we are still together, together apart.
Yeah.
But there were one-offs. But I kept telling him, this thing, I don't see it. So I walked out once. I came back, then we're in Tanzania. I came back to Nairobi.
After how long did you walk out?
That's in 2013 or 2014. I got married in 2011. I was like, you know what? I can't do this thing. Let me go to my mom's place and hang out there, and just figure it out. So when I came, I found out I was pregnant with my second child. So he was very excited because he's like, good, she's going to come back.
Yeah. And she'll stay put now.
Yeah, I'm pregnant. And yes, I had to anyway. Because then all our covers, medical, everything was in the country we were then. So, and even the name we gave our second child was reflective of the joy she had brought back. He's the one who named her because she brought him joy. So he called her Kenna. So very excited, did our thing. And again, boom, issues here and there. And I'm like, no, this thing is not working. So 2016, I came back. I came back with the children and I left him. And I told my mom, please allow me to stay in Nairobi. He can continue working. He will just repatriate some money back and I can start life again. I really wanted to resettle here. And I made arrangements on how I would be resettled back home. But again, my mom is that firm believer, and I respect her so much for it because she's also opened me up to another school of thought I didn't have. She's actually the greatest influencer of conscious uncoupling to me. Yes. So she told me, no, what you have here is a family. And I need you to understand what a family means. So her and her late friend took me through a lot of talking and, a lot of how things are done, what they've experienced. They agreed with me on some things I was experiencing. And, they validated me, but still they told me, hang in there. So they made me promise I'm going back. So I said, okay, because they knew if we let her stay here, I think she will,
Yeah.
So my ex came for me, Baba Toto came for me, and we patched things up and we went, and things were good. Again, issues came up. Remember, personally, I had already, I disconnected. I disconnected a long time ago. And not because he's a bad guy. Yeah. In fact, I call him my ride and die. Yes, we are apart, but the level of intimacy we share, I like what he says, no one would ever understand it. Because now we have what we call genuine friendship, genuine care for each other. Wow. We are not loaded with unmet expectations of how the other should behave. Now it's okay. Whatever you are, I accept it. Whatever I am, he'll accept it. So yeah, so we went back and 2017 I said, no, this is it. Came back. So started life again. Now, marriage is very interesting. and also how we've been brought up. You know, you're brought up to have some levels of expectations on how each other should behave. These things are ingrained in you.
Yeah.
So when that is not met, you brood a lot of resentment towards each other, a lot of acrimony, a lot of hate. No matter how much enlightened you are, if you've not dealt with what you've been indoctrinated to perceive a relationship, you will struggle the same struggle as everyone else.
Yeah.
And we had our struggles. We had our struggles of expecting fidelity from each other. We had our struggles of expecting food to be on the table, or you to call and say. We had that until one time I said, you know what, no. So I approached my cousin. I told him I need to go work somewhere, and he offered me an opportunity where I was out of the country. And when I was out of the country, I left him with the children. I was able to do deep dives, proper reflections, because I was all alone. I would lock myself up to a week in the room without going out. You know, I had papers all over. I was literally mapping out my life because I needed to understand. I don't like being in states of, you know, conflict within myself. And I stumbled upon various forms of relationships between men and women globally. And I started studying them. I started following people who practice open marriages, people who practice polyamory, polygamy. I started exposing myself to the many forms a relationship between two human beings, two consenting human beings can take. And then I looked at myself and what I desire. At the end of the day, I knew I needed a family. Not necessarily, you know, with a husband that's there 247, but I needed to have a, like, you know, like a cozy setup of me, my children, and their dad, or their dad, the children, and me, whichever way. And I realized it's possible because there's so many people out there doing it, so many. But because we are not exposed to it, we don't know it's a possibility.
Yeah.
So when I came back, I told him, let's talk. Now, unfortunately, he was still going through that phase, you know, that anger phase, because everyone has to go through that anger phase. And it wasn't time for us to talk. And I kept telling him in 2018, that was in 2018, I told him, we shall divorce in 2021. I was very sure about 2021. And he's like, why 2021? I told him, you know, I've studied the human being based on what I've seen. In 3 years' time, where we are, in 3 years' time, we'll be ready for a divorce.
Okay, wait, before you get to that, because now that's another juicy part, I want to take you back a little bit. Because severally you walked out of your marriage because you felt like you needed a breather and you needed to retrace your steps. What was the it moment for you to realize this is not, you know, you don't want this anymore? And it's not like the guy was mean to you, he was not bad to you, he was not abusive. But what just made you tick?
Actually, it was in 2019. Back then, remember, I was still shackled, I was still yoked with the indoctrination I got.
Yes.
A wife builds a home, it's a wife's responsibility, you have to stick it out. I was still a slave. I had not come out very boldly to cut the cord. I was still struggling with what if it could, what, you know,
Yeah.
can I give it a chance, can we try? I'd not told myself the truth, that this is not what I want. I'd not accepted, actually I'd not accepted the truth and embodied it. So it's in 2018, 2019, actually 2019 is when I knew, I told myself, I do not want. So by 2019, I had gone through the, you know what we call the trenches. I had serious acne, my face was so spotty. I was in serious depression, and I was able to now start getting out of it after I accepted the truth and started embodying and living the truth. And there's one truth that has always guided me. The end of a marriage just means the beginning of no marriage. It does not mean the end of yourself, the end of your family. It doesn't mean the end of, it just means the end of, the beginning of no marriage. The end of a marriage. Yeah, it's just that. So I don't have to lose a friendship I have because of a framework of operation. we can remove this frame that's not working for us called marriage and still retain what matters to us in another setup.
Yeah.
So I told him by 2021 we'll get divorced. At that point, I knew, based on what I had read, that we'll have come out of the anger phase. Now, I'm the greatest advisor. Never ever look at your reflection in boiling water. It's not clear. Never make a decision when you're angry or when you're happy. You need calmness to have clarity over the decision you take. So there was no way I was going to file for divorce in anger. I couldn't. I needed to sober because I believe in what we call courting to divorce. Let's court each other.
That's a thing.
Yes, it's a thing. The way you courted me to marry me, let's court each other out of this thing. Because you see, we have come together, we have invested our energies and times. We have, me and you are one, right? And that's what even the Bible says. You become one, you fuse. So that energy, it needs to transmute to something else. Now, because people don't know how to transmute it properly, what was once love now becomes anger and hate. So courting to divorce is actually changing and transmuting that energy vortex you've created, the two of you, to what is workable between the two of you. So I knew in 2021 we'll be ready to court each other into divorce. But because I guess I had gone way ahead, he was very impatient and he said, let me give her what she wants.
Yeah.
And he filed. So he filed the first time. And then I don't know what, so I went, I told him, I've heard you filed, and I've heard this is what you filed, and we had a conversation. And I think it hit him and he was like, oops, what did I just do? He withdrew. So I told him, some of these things, it's good to do them when you have clarity.
Yeah.
Because you also don't want to carry burdens of regret. I hate regret. So he withdrew. Then I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. He filed again. Yes, the second time he went and filed. I said, you know what? It's fine. But I didn't know he's filed. So what happened is I was called by someone and says, I have something for you. I said, fine. It was a clerk. So I went, I received it, and he told me, you know what this is? I'm like, no, this is serving from so-and-so, and yeah, it's for this. Are you aware of it? I said, yeah. Okay, fine. Can I take your photo? I'm like, yeah. And I didn't know I was smiling. So he was sending the photos. Wait, I was with my mom in the house. Everyone was in the house.
Yeah.
So my house. So I went back, like that, I just threw the envelope on the table, continued doing, we made dinner, everything. And in fact, my mom keeps telling me, I can't believe that day you actually got a serving and you went about business like nothing. I was like, no, but it's something I knew was going to come. So I was not, I was not taken aback. And I would have done it if he didn't do it.
Yeah.
Any of us would have done it. So he got the photos and I went, I remember I decided now I need to go and see him at his place, pay him a visit, we talk about it. Packed the car, put the kids in, drove up to his place. I told him we'll be here for like a week. Let's just iron out things because this calls for a different mental dispensation between the two of us. And we had serious talk. I don't think we've ever talked like we did. We talked about the hurt we have dealt on each other. We talked about the joyful moments we have had. We talked about our children. We did a proper, under the moonlight, lying on the grass, just talking. If he wanted, he could cry. I could cry. It was a proper intimate talk. And we agreed. We agreed, okay, fine, this is here. Let's move on. And I said, fine. By the time I was coming out of there, I was to do nothing about it.
Wait, let me ask. This 1 week period where you were having this intimate talk, you're having a talk with someone who you want to go separate ways with.
Yes.
And you're reliving your moments, the good and the bad.
Yes.
Did you at any point feel like maybe you could give it another chance? Because I can imagine the kind of energy exchange and the kind of intimacy there was real.
Remember, I'd already accepted this is not what I want.
Even with all that?
Yeah, And
Wow.
even till today, if you saw the two of us, everyone says, you guys will remarry. And I'm like, maybe he will remarry me, but I'll not be part of that. Him, like, no, he can. Yeah, but I'm very clear. I'm very, very clear. Especially because of how we perceive marriage. Maybe if we perceive it differently, I could think about it. But no, the way it is right now, no. It
How
doesn't.
does he perceive marriage, according to you?
Actually, we have it's to him it is bondage. I'm glad he sees it that way now.
Whoa.
Because in all honesty, after my 1.5 years in it, I realized the way it is right now, it's a loss to me as a woman. I'm sorry. I know there are women who love it, but to me, the toll it had to take on my lifestyle,
Yeah.
it was a loss. It was a loss on all the progress I had made as a human being.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I had to tone down, to change, to, you cannot be, and in all honesty, women who go into, especially the Christian marriage, you can't just live your life.
Sema quote and quote.
Yeah, you can't just live, you can't be picked at the club at 6 in the morning. Unless your husband is very open enough to allow you. The things you used to do, you can't do that. You have to change a bit of things here and
You
there.
have to fit into a role of being
You
a
have to,
wife.
yeah, remember it's a role,
Yeah.
you have to play. This is a game. This is a script. You've been scripted as a wife. So you must fit into the script of being a wife. So any other script you played,
Yeah.
you have to trash it or downplay it
Yeah.
and play the main script, being a wife. And I realized, I'm very fierce, feisty. This is not me.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, even if we went through that, for me, the assurance I needed from him was the friendship stays, the friendship remains. No matter what, I needed him to give me that assurance. We'll weather it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just need to stick and weather whatever phase it is. And I knew, just because we have removed the framework of marriage,
Yeah.
it does not mean then that we need to lose the friendship. We can have our friendship within another framework, within another setup, within another confine. I mean, this is life, it's diverse. It allows us that opportunity. So yeah, I came back. Of course, I met with everyone who loves me and wishes me well. Push to counterfile, push to get child support. I fell into that ideology. So I decided, because of what was on the papers, I was told, it's important to, to counter and give your side of the story so that if your kids read it in future, at least they can see. So I don't even think I had thought through it. And that's why I don't like making rash decisions. But unfortunately, it had a time frame. Yeah, there was a limit.
Yeah.
So I went to the courts. And then we started looking for my file. And I started asking myself, what is all this? Okay, I'm told, I don't know, you need now to go, I don't know to where to file for the children so that you come see the children's court. There's all these things. I said, okay, fine. So I went to the children's court and then I had to go, I don't know to which office. Hey, let me tell you, I got to the bus stop having achieved nothing. And after all those rounds, and it's like I was hit by something and I'm like, what am I doing? Is this not what you want? It may not have come the way you want it, but focus, is it not what you wanted? So life has given you what you wanted. What are you fighting?
Yeah.
And I was like, And I was like, the children, why am I filing for child support? Look, I support filing for child support because some people must be pushed. I don't have, he's not an irresponsible father. He has provided, in fact, when I was giving birth, I stayed home. I'm one of those people who are privileged enough to just stay home, stay pregnant, everything is catered for, excellent medical services, and I had 2 nannies to help me, everything. So, and he provided for it 100% because these are his children. So I knew he's not, you know, he's not like refusing to provide for the kids or anything. And how was I going to give my children spoils of war? Because child support comes from push and pulls. Most of the time it's push and pull. Sometimes people agree, which is excellent. I hope people can just agree. But you have to push and fight and, you know, to get this guy to support you. So can you imagine, this person is giving me something begrudgingly. I'm taking it and giving it to my children. Children that I wanted, that I desired, and children that I actually took me to marriage. I said, I'm not offering my children spoils of war. It just sat wrong in my spirit. And I said, you know what? I wanted these kids. I will be able to provide for them, and I'll not lack for them. And I said, I'm not even filing that child support. The lawyers that I had engaged, I AWOL'd them, kept calling. I told them no. The process, the lawyer, his lawyer kept calling me. I told him, no, you guys do your thing. I wish you well. So sometimes, and you know, sometimes the lawyer would call me when he's there and we are talking. That's the irony. Because, you know, we have to sit and talk. Maybe there is something to discuss about the children. Because, you know, some things have to bring you together. Yeah. So tell him, look, this is the situation. What is needed of me? Because I'm here to support you. I'm here to support this process. We must have it successfully concluded. So I'm offering you my support. Yeah. So, and that's what happened. And I really pulled back. I don't know how far it is. He tells me it's over. I'm like, you know what? That's your show. You run with it. I trust you. I know you have my best interest at heart. Go for it. So from then, I think both of us realized we actually deeply love one another. We really, really love one another. But we do not want to love one another within a marriage. We do not want to love one another as a husband and as a wife. Yeah. We do not want to have a relationship with each other that has marital expectations, sexual expectations. You know, we just want to be friends. We just want to have someone who knows you. You can call and say, hey, do you know what I did? And he laughs with you. He says, yeah, that's a blunder. You know, you want to have someone you can have genuine conversation, who doesn't judge you, who doesn't look down on you, who doesn't hold a grudge on your chosen lifestyle. And yeah, that's what you want. And that's what we started crafting. He went on, we have an additional child in the brood. Now after my children, there's another baby.
From someone else?
Yes. You see, he's a daddy. He's those men who are born to be fathers. Yeah. So there's that. I mean, he's in a wonderful relationship that serves him right. You know, I've gone on and seen other people, and we talk. And he's met some of the people I've dated. He's met them, and you know, because I forgot how this thing is done. So I'll call him, oh, did I say? He's like, you know what? Please don't look at them like me. If you say this, it will be too much. You'll scare this person away. You need to learn to tone down. Because I forgot what dating was. So I call him a dating coach sometimes. Because I'm like, I need you to advise me. I don't know what I said, but this guy has gone silent. Or I don't know what I said, but I saw this reaction. Did I do anything wrong? What do you think? Knowing me. You know, he's gone on and started a whole new life that's totally independent from me. I think it's brilliant. He looks happy. He's excited about it. I'm doing my thing. He watches me. He comes in. He's like, okay, good job. We talk. We parent wonderfully. We have what we call family moments where the four of us are in one space, living, eating in one space. And our children are seeing two adults who can be able to get along, to cope, you know, to have shared interests in their welfare and don't fight. And the interesting thing is, you know, I don't think even my kids have ever seen us arguing. Because there's no reason to argue. You're free, I'm free. What are we arguing over? What are we conflicting over? Why can't we share the same space? If I support you, you support me.
Yeah.
So the children see two adults who are quite happy with themselves and with the life they live. As opposed to when you're in an acrimonious relationship and you don't want to talk to the dad, and this child can see you don't want to talk to the dad.
And there's a lot of tension.
And there's a lot of
between-
tension.
Yeah.
And we can't have like a family movie. You know what we do? We normally bring out all the mattresses to the living room. And all of us are in the living room. Or he sleeps in the living room with the boy. You know, you have to look for very creative ways of just maneuvering. And they're there.
Mukami, I have a question for you. Your husband has moved on. He has another child
Yeah.
from another relationship. You have moved on as well. Were there any moments of jealousy on your end? Because this is someone that you were with. This is someone that you loved and still love, right? This is someone that you cared for and still care for, but they are out there with someone else creating a life and creating memories. How do you handle that?
Ah, yes, jealousy, jealousy, jealousy. You know, jealousy is one of those things that, in as much as we may say it's natural, it's cultured. It's taught. It's one of those things that's fun. It's
Really?
taught, yes. Because you're told the truth is he should only see you.
Ideally.
Yes. So when he doesn't see you, what happens?
I get jealous,
Yeah.
insecure.
Yeah. And then, if you understand life from this perspective, I do not have everything it takes to satisfy this human being. In fact, I cannot meet even a quarter of his needs. This world is diverse. His needs keep changing. They keep mutating. Will I keep changing and mutating with everything that he wants and desires just to be able to satisfy him? What kind of life is that? Now, because he likes them slim, I'm here trying to slim myself, yet I've been blessed with, you know, a curvy body.
Yeah.
He likes them now. I've slammed down. Now he's interested in the curves. So I start bringing the curves up again. Today he wants the short hair.
Yeah.
Tomorrow he then wants the short hair. So do I keep on changing with that?
That's a lot of work.
It's exactly. Yet they're there with short hair. Set him free. They're there with short hair. They're there with those. Whatever he do, it's there. I don't have to be the one to serve it.
Well,
There's what he gets from me, which
Yes.
cannot be replicated out there. And that's enough. I should appreciate that I have what I serve and be content. That's what I call being content.
this is what you can offer.
Yeah, this is all I can offer. If
Yeah.
it's not enough, it's okay to have more of what, I mean, it's okay to go out and get what you want. So for me, I had to yes, jealousy was there, you asked.
Yeah.
Jealousy was there. But I had to interrogate it as a feeling. I interrogate all feelings I get.
Yeah.
So I had to sit down and interrogate myself. Like now, let me give you a very interesting example. Like today, he's with my daughter. She's gone to get a photo shoot. Makeup, change of clothes, the works. I don't like makeup. I don't do these things. But his wonderful girlfriend, she's savvy in these things. So do I deny my daughter a chance of something she loves because I'm jealous? Yet I can't give it to her. But he has someone who can give the little girl what she wants.
It would be selfish for you to do that.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course. But when you think about it, no, it's not selfish because we've grown up in an environment that validates your jealousy and validates your refusal to. But when you sit and critically think about it, to what end? Whose purpose does it serve? Yours? And there's nothing bad like fanning a negative emotion. Negative emotions, when they're fanned, they're destructive. So why do you want to fan something that will destroy you? Do you hate yourself enough that you want to put yourself in harm's way? You yourself, you put yourself in harm's way. Are you that mean to yourself? Yeah. You see, I like the Bible when it says, renew your mind. Don't conform. So anytime I find myself in murky waters. I breathe in and out and step back and question where this is coming from. What memory within me is facilitating this emotion? Yeah. I look at my environment and I ask, is there a way I can renew my thinking around it? And that's how I've survived, and that's how we have come this far. We still have tiffs here and there because, I mean, we are growing in this space. We are still growing as human beings, as, you know, evolving. So we normally have conflict here and there. But I like how we do it these days. When we disagree, we pull back, go breathe in and out. We'll see each other maybe 3 weeks later or even 2 months later. We can resolve it, you know. And we'll pack it. We'll not talk about it. Pack it. Because it's emotive. Let the emotions die down. You think about it. He'll go think about it. And then let's talk about it. And there sometimes I'll say things like, no, I'm not ready to talk about it. And once I say this, I'm done. We are not raising it up. And there's some things we've totally packed and said it's not worth discussion. Yeah, so that's how I dealt with jealousy. Of course, I did feel jealous, especially within marriage, and especially post-marriage, when I started seeing him with very successful relationships with other ladies. But I had to ask myself, why? Really, why? Because what stops me from living my life? What stops me from also focusing on what I want, how I want it? I mean, have I had enough that now I have to remove my eyes from my life to someone else's life? Yeah, to have their actions affect me. Yeah. So that's how I dealt with it.
Wow. You know, I'm looking at you talking and I'm like, wow, it sounds so easy to handle. It sounds, no, the way you make it sound so easy. Whereas I know so many people who are stuck in unhappy marriages, and they will not own up to the fact that they are unhappy, or they're losing themselves in it, or they're trying to fulfill society expectations, or they're there for the financial gain. And you are here telling the story, and it's like it was not your cup of tea. You wanted children, and the moment you had your kids, you realized this is just about it. There's nothing else to it, and you had to go through the process of detachment.
Yeah, which I didn't have to in the first place. Had I known what I know today, I didn't have to form all these unhealthy attachments. I didn't have to. But it's not easy. It's not easy. Let me tell you, after hearing something for maybe 20-something years of your life, it's very scary to imagine there's a different way of doing things or of thinking. It's very scary to imagine that you can be happy for your ex-husband and attend his wedding. You know, because, you know, the narrative, you've embodied it, you've lived it, you're seeing it. I mean, we've been treated to women fighting the men and men fighting the women. I mean, that's what has been your environment. That's what has been fed into you. So detoxing from that is, sometimes I even say, if you don't have the grit, don't start it. It's going to cost you. It can cost you your sanity, because it's you know, it's a whole, you're shifting your entire mental orientation. Because I had to deal with family and friends. They couldn't understand. How do you deal with that front when you're changing perspective? When you're actually now detaching yourself from the pack.
Yes. Being the Lone Ranger.
How do you deal? There are people who are not strong enough to be Lone Rangers in thought, especially in thought and in perspective. You know, you don't want to be seen to be radical in your thinking. So how do you put out a radical attitude? Will you, you know, you're worried about it. So you won't survive. You know, if you don't have that grit, you won't survive. I mean, because, you know, systems, they'll claw you. You know, you'll be clawed back. And the interesting thing is, even in as much as I have clarity over the experiences I want to have in life, you'll still see people telling you, oh, you guys were praying you get back together. You'll get back together. Oh, you guys look like you should get back together. Oh, you look good together. And I'm like, no. I am clear on what I want.
Yeah.
Because what is the norm? When you're able to resolve your differences, when you're able to laugh again, when you're able to commune again, okay.
You guys go back together. Like, what are you waiting for? That's
Forgetting
exactly what...
that's not what you wanted.
Yeah.
That framework is not what you wanted. You fall back in. What happens? And that's why sometimes I think second and third marriages have a higher failure rate. Because you're still not dealt with the why in your first marriage. Yeah.
I thought people who give it a second and third chance are better at it.
No, I hear the statistics are it's higher.
Oh.
Yeah, the failure rates are higher.
Because they've not even done the work and understood why it didn't work out in the first place.
Yeah.
Their needs, their way of fulfilling their needs in the first place. So the cycle continues.
It does.
Yeah.
And what I realized is, once you do the work, independently, both of us say we are not doing these things. We are not marrying again. We are not replicating what we had again. We are not. And it came from both of us doing our own individual, deep dives. And when you sit down and get in there, and you actually realize, no, you've done the work. You've realized, and sometimes I ask, if you've gotten to that place where you now understand it, why not reconcile with this other person? Yeah, right? You don't need to replicate it somewhere else.
True.
Yeah, why not reconcile? So is it the person? Is it them? You have to quite understand what it is that made what you had. Because it could be perspectives you hold in life. It could be the framework that is not, that doesn't align with your desires in life. It could be so many things. So, like, it's very interesting. I found out about a relationship, what they call polyamory. And when you read about polyamory, or when you hear people talk about polyamory, the first thing you think about is there's a lot of sexual intimacy going around in multiple partners. But I came to realize it's multiple partners serving different needs.
Yeah.
Some are just there for the friendship. You don't have to have anything sexual with them. Then you go into this other. There's so many ways you can explore the kind of relationship you can have. You don't have to confine yourself to something that doesn't work. Even being on your own, single. Like, I realized I do so well when I'm on my own. Yes. I'm perfect. I'm happy in my little corner. And that's one of the things I had never quite understood about myself. And now all of us are coming, my family is coming to appreciate. I'm quite can I say introvert? I like being alone. I like being in my own space. So having someone to now start sharing space with, and it's not a child, children are different.
Yeah, it's a different scenario.
Will conflict. Because I want it done this way, I want it, and I'm not ready to compromise. No. Yeah. Worst way of solving conflicts, compromise and yielding. You resolve them. If you ever are going to solve a conflict, do not compromise, do not yield. Resolve it. Take care of it once and for all.
Yeah.
Let it get off the table. Otherwise, you'll keep mutating that conflict. It'll keep mutating.
And it'll come up in different forms anyway.
Yes, because you're yielding, you're compromising. You're not dealing with eradicating what it is that you do not want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa. It takes a very high level of self-awareness and a lot of guts to walk this journey. I kid you not. This is not something that many people are courageous enough to. But of course, when you realize that this life is your own and you need to live it to the maximum and create best moments every day, then the aha moment comes in. I want you to address ladies who could be in marriages that are not fulfilling. They are not feeling themselves, they are not happy, they are withdrawn, they're feeling like, this is not what they wanted. What do you have for them?
Oh, wow. I've had enough people ask me, what do I do? This is what I feel. And Jackie, you know this. If you don't know what to do, it's impossible for me to tell you what you need to do. I cannot, because I don't advocate for divorce. In as much as I'm walking that journey,
Yeah.
when you come to me, I'll never give you divorce as the first option.
Yeah.
Because I know you're creating another monster that you'll have to deal with. You've had people divorce even for 20 years and are still bitter with each other. So that's a whole totally different ballgame, which if you already don't know what you need to do, do not add more things that will confuse your life. First step, I've known them as deep dives. You need to do a deep dive into yourself. You really need to. You have to take the bold step of telling yourself the truth. If you're a certain type of way, you have to admit you're a certain type of way that does not facilitate functional relationships. You have to accept what you are, what you be, what you keep changing to.
Yeah.
You have to take yourself through that journey of first knowing yourself, because most of the people I know who have paired wrong, because you don't know yourself. Your kind of character does not align with this guy's character. And even when you come and talk to us and tell us, and I'm like, how did you guys even think, you can cope?
Yeah.
And that is the tragedy, that we don't have ways in which teenage to maybe early adult years, people are encouraged to understand themselves, to seek themselves, to know who they are, to know what they want, and learn to identify groupings or organizations they align to, or that, cause minimal conflict when they want to relate with. That's the first step. Up until you know what you want. Because, the honest reality is, if this guy say it's a lady, if this guy changed and became what you want, would you still want him as a husband? If he says he came home, if let's say he comes home early, he starts spending, would you want him as a husband? And the interesting thing is, I've had a couple of ladies tell me, no. And I'm like, yeah, so what are you praying for?
Yeah.
What are you asking for? Because the truth is, if he did what you wanted, seriously, you would, you've gone out, you've been exposed to other people, you've maybe seen you would be like, no, let me try out somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's even sometimes after reconciliations, people still get into the same trapping. The guy has changed, I did what you want. Why is it still an issue? You're already out of it. Has the relationship served its purpose, lived its time? Some people just wanted to wear the white gown. It ended.
Yeah.
You wanted, like me, that baby. It's ended.
Yeah.
You wanted to experience for a year or two what it feels like. It's over.
Yeah.
So, you also have to ask yourself, why is it you wanted this thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. And especially my age mates coming up, unlike our mothers who are homemakers, in the traditional sense.
Yeah.
Don't lie to yourself you wanted to be a homemaker. Most of us really, we are educated, we have careers ongoing. Are you really going to be a homemaker?
Yeah,
already
I get
it's yeah. So, and then this men, really, do you really want, your wife is, she's got her life going. Would you really want, like your mother in your wife? It's the burden.
It's too much.
It's too much.
It sounds heavy.
But it is. And I realized if I want a wonderful life, I've just got to reduce the number of decisions I make in a day. I don't need to make too many decisions. So for me right now, the only decisions I take in a day is about, I guess, the children only. Because even my house, I have a very wonderful house manager. I told her, you take care of the kitchen and everything. You tell me what is needed. So to live a fruitful life, reduce the number of decisions you have to make in a day. Let them know what they want first. Only until they know what they want is when they can start interrogating the experiences they've chosen for themselves.
Yeah.
because you've had it. You're in a marriage, you're even now regretting why you became a mom. You're stuck with kids. I have a very wonderful friend, and I love what she did. She left the children with her husband.
Like she left her home for...
Yes. And she left the children with her husband. You know that level of self-understanding?
It's a very high level of self-awareness, which is something that not many of us are gifted with.
And the children have thrived.
Yeah.
Doing so well. And she still gets to have shared custody.
You were telling me about your friend?
Yeah, so, I mean, and they've had a very one, in fact, she's one of the people who influenced my thought and perspective beside my mom. I also love my mother. My mother is such an open-minded person, and she doesn't fight me. She's like, you know what, whatever radical thought you have, I'm your mom, I'm here to support you. Bring it, let's see. And I'm glad because she's allowed me to cover me. And she's been able to, hold off people who didn't believe her. She knows what she's doing. I mean, I'm 30, then I was 39. But people still go to my mother, oh, she's doing this. And I'm like, I'm 39. Why are you consulting my mother? So my mom is like, but she's an adult, she knows what she's doing. I trust her. I've raised her. I know what she's doing. Is in perfect order with her interests. And today my mom says, she says, and now I have people who actually look back and say, we couldn't see this. We couldn't. Now, it's actually something that is, it can work. We didn't lose our friendship with friends. So I would advise people, and especially people who've shared a marriage, you've created energy together. You have brought yourselves in a space and invested so much of each other. Are you willing to just lose that? What does not work at that moment is maybe that framework, that expectation, that, you have that script. Can't you abandon that script and get another script for your own interest? Because how do you carry baggage of being in agreement with another human being? I don't understand how someone can live being at war with another human being. I can't be at war with myself. I can't be at war with another human being. That is low, what I call low level. So why would you not want to get another